welcome to this overview of our article, To Exit or Not to Exit, evaluating a case management pathway in a Global South context to decrease service dependency. Let me introduce the authors. There's myself, Lee, Zoe, Sontia and Stadot from Children's Future International. We're an NGO in Cambodia. Emily completed a student placement with us, and Nikki and Tinica, who are not here today, are from universities in New Zealand and Cambodia. The article presents a process for reviewing a case management pathway to reduce service dependency at CFI. Emily reviewed our pathway as part of her placement tasks. The process was so useful, we wrote this article about it. Emily will now talk about the work that was completed.
Thanks, Lee. During my time at CFI, I collected and collated data using a mixed method approach, which involved using Save the Children's Steps to Protect practice guidelines as the framework for data collection and analysis. This also included a desktop review of CFI's documents. Discussions with CFI staff and stakeholders were also an important aspect of the study design. These discussions were semi-structured in nature and consisted predominantly of family members or young people using CFI services who consented to participate. Lastly, I included observations in the field. These observations were then ranked against the Steps to Protect practice domains. Now I'm going to hand over to Zoe to comment on the literature.
Thanks, Emily. So we explored literature in the context of Cambodia, particularly the high numbers of NGOs who generally use Western ideologies that don't take into account the context and economics of the Cambodian environment. We questioned if NGOs do community development work or if they just generate families dependent on services using Western models which place NGOs as experts here to save or rescue families, without recognising the unique strengths and ability of the community. This is compounded by the fact that most services are funded on reach or the number of families on the books. The aim of the project was to review CFI's approach to see if we could implement pathways that build on family strengths and reduce service dependency. Now Sontia will highlight connections to practice.
Thank you, Zoe. So connecting this to our practice, at CFI we develop a clear case management pathway. We complete the initial assessment in partnership with families where they be able to set their own goal. We discussed the assessment outcome in our intake and exit meeting, where in partnership with the local authority, we consider what kind of services are required to keep the children safe. And importantly, to support the family to exit, we are aware of service dependency and we seek to reduce this in everything we do. We are now questioning, why are we working with this family? A clear practice change. So we will now consider the future implication of this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Completing this review was helpful for CFI. It reinforced case management delivery best practice such as assessment and follow-up. It was great to have our practice recognized, but it also clearly highlighted where we needed to make improvements such as developing a standard operating procedure and further developing our closer procedure. It has meant we have been able to direct our attention where it is more needed and really strengthen our procedure and process. Well, now we will wrap this overview up. Thank you.
Thank you, Stadot. If you're interested in case management processes and service dependency, read this article and get a clear idea as to how to complete a review and strengthen your processes. Thank you.